Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. Hey friends, this is Blaise. Welcome back to Full Spectrum Feeling. I had a memory that I wanted to share with you this week, and it's about being a young artist, being in college, and I was going for an art degree in painting, and I had felt at the time like I had barely taken painting classes, like I barely knew what the hell I was doing. And it's so weird to say that because at the same time, I was showing paintings and like I had been invited to World Fantasy Convention, like I was in art shows, actually selling art. And I still felt like I was not a painter and I didn't know what I was doing and I sucked. So I'm taking these classes and I'm in it's a drawing class. It's life drawing classes and just a general drawing class. And we're using charcoal, and I had always hated working with charcoal. It just was so messy and dusty and difficult to control for me and all over the place. I felt like, you can't draw with it. I came from really drawing with graphite, very precise, very clean lines, and then building up to get texture, building up to get shading and using that skill. And then I had like these giant clunky chunks of charcoal and graphite, even like just fine charcoal, things that would just crumble and you'd breathe it in, the dust everywhere, and it just felt like such a mess. And I was doing the best I could to just create some stuff. And I think we were in this class and my teacher had asked us, we were almost illustrating. And I think this is about when I started to realize, this is what I love about art, is telling a story. It's about creating something visual that tells a story or that interprets a feeling. And I want to do that. And he was playing music, I think, and we were drawing. And maybe we could even add some like Conti crayon or like some other colors. So we had like the white, the kind of reddish, and the dark black and the gray. And I was just going to town and I just started to slap things down on this paper. And, we're using all of the old newsprint. So I just felt like, it's school. It's very cheap materials, cheap paper, just learning how to put down a thought. And I wanted to work really big, and I was using my whole body and my arms, and I was using the sides of the thing and putting it down and then smearing it with my hand and then taking like the gummy eraser and like removing chunks of it or trying to lift it away and then coming in with another color and blending it on top and just getting into it. And I was finally feeling like I was having a conversation with the work, and it was really cool. And he comes by, the teacher, and he's watching me for a while, and I'm starting to get that uncomfortable feeling where you're like, oh God, am I doing something wrong? Am I about to get critiqued? Like, what am I fucking up now is what I'm thinking. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And he kind of like patted me on the back and was like, you're a painter. And I was like, whoa, like it lit my soul on fire. I was so excited to have someone say that. And I was like, what makes you say that? He's like, well, you're painting, you're not drawing. It's like when you look around at people in the class and how they're using the materials, he's like, you're a painter, you're not drawing. And I went, no kidding. And I started to look at the way I had been interacting with the paper in a whole different way. And it wasn't even with paint. And I was like, I didn't understand that you could be a painter not using paint, that you could be a painter with drawing materials. And he's like, but look at the way that you're doing that. It's the way that you're creating big swaths of shapes and you're lifting and blending, and you're not looking at it as just one precise line. You're seeing edges and you're creating edges, not with a line, but with different contrasting heaviness of how you're putting it down. And it blew my mind, and it changed my perspective on myself and the possibilities for myself in the future. And I felt really seen, maybe for the first time in art school, actually, because up until that point, I felt like I had been told that I almost had no consistency, that people were seeing that I didn't seem to always draw the same things. I used a lot of different materials, that when we put all of my work up for the whole year, that what I showed was very different. It could have been by very many different people. And it was interesting to me because I was like, well, I've just been following your assignments. Like, I'm trying to do what you've asked me to do, which again makes sense as an illustrator, right? Like, someone gives you an assignment, you deliver what they've asked for, and then you get paid. That's how it works. So maybe I had a grasp of that early on that I wasn't aware of, but I wasn't developing my artistic voice. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about that stress in a little while. But, yeah, having someone see just the way I interacted with it in the moment, to not just look at the final product, but the process of getting there, and to appreciate my process, and to say, this is what painting is. That comes from how you interact. It's not about the final product. It's about who you are. And I was like, oh, I thought a painter was someone who made a painting. And he's like, no, a painter is someone who paints. And it was different. It just felt really good. I wanted to share that with you because I am remembering that as I'm looking at the art on my walls, feeling this urge to maybe begin to dabble again, to push paint around, because maybe it's not about what I create in the end. It's about this journey that I have with my paintings as I create them, and what I can build up and what I can do. There's something really healing in that, and it speaks to my soul in this slowing down and creating space and time and communication that feels really important. It's an important value to me right now at this particular moment in my life and history. I just want people to communicate with each other and to slow down enough to actually see, to actually hear. And I think this memory spoke to me because it was about someone really being present and seeing well enough to be able to tell me something that was true that I didn't understand, to be able to communicate it to me and help me understand it, to validate my own experience when I didn't even know I needed that. And I really needed that then. It was so beautiful. And I just want to give that to more people, to be able to see them, to validate their experience, to give myself these moments of opportunity to even know what it is that I'm doing. Wouldn't that be nice to know what the heck we're doing? To be present enough to know and actually see the picture. I kept that drawing, right? Like, it's just like a crappy scrap-ass drawing from a throwaway moment in the middle of college. And, like, it wasn't an assignment. It wasn't anything. And it was transformational. I mean, I see how that moment changed how I was approaching my figure drawing classes. I started showing up with my paints. I hadn't done that before. Like, I thought I had to show up and just do charcoal like everyone else. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to show up with watercolor, and I'm just going to paint with watercolor. And I don't care that I'm going to get it wrong, and I'm going to keep going over it until I get it right. Because that's a moment. That's how I wanted to create it and see it. And I started actually making some of the better pieces that I think I made in college, because I finally went, oh, right, I'm a painter. Why am I trying to capture something that I don't do? And it worked. It was really, really cool. And honestly, I look at that and go, wow, that fed into becoming a tattoo artist, where I went, oh, because I went through that experience of realizing that I like to paint and I like to layer things, and I was willing to work with paint that dries, and like, you can't erase it. Once pigment goes down on a watercolor paper, like, it is there. You're not going to lift that without seriously damaging your paper. It helped. Like, I could tattoo because I had the confidence to go, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to create something in the end that works. There's no going back with a tattoo either. So that, that one comment led to this whole transformation of my life, transformation of the course of my life. How crazy. it's so cool. I'm really grateful to have that moment of being witnessed. And I'm in this moment now of wanting to witness myself again and see what again might be possible, and where I might go, where I might already be that I'm not even aware of. Where have all of these experiences added up to? What can I give? How can I serve? What do I give back? What am I already? I think that's just a fascinating question to ask ourselves. Like, what am I already? And how can I appreciate that about myself and like see it as a valuable thing, instead of going like, oh wow, how do I not fit in here, to go like, oh, of course you don't fit in here. Like, you're doing this other thing. It's amazing. You should go do more of that. Thank God for that teacher. Thank you for pointing that out to me. And I hope that for all of us, we have someone in our lives to point out, yeah, the beautifulness, the importance of who we really are and how we already are showing up. There is you showing up as you, and it's so important, and it's so special, and it's so good. Go be you. Go be you everywhere. It's lovely. As always, sending you a big hug, hoping that you're having a wonderful week, that you're giving yourself the time and the space and the energy that you need to find yourself, to be yourself, and to magnify yourself and go out and just resonate in the world, being you, the best that you can be. Much love to you, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.